evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. The missing murdered Indigenous women and girls issue in Winnipeg is back in the spotlight after the bodies of two women were found just days apart in Manitoba's capital. Our Daryl Stranger has more on this story that has some worried that even more murders will be uncovered.
The minister at the time, Carolyn Bennett, recognized Manitoba as ground zero for missing and murdered loved ones. The last few weeks, it continues to be ground zero in this country.
Sandra Delarond is an MMIWG advocate in Winnipeg. The recent killing of two Indigenous women have her frustrated. On May 16th, partial human remains were discovered near an apartment building in Winnipeg. The victim was identified as 24-year-old Rebecca Comtois. Jeremy Anthony Michael Skibicki has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with Comtois' death. Skibicki remains in police custody. Homicide investigators say Skibicki could have more victims. On May 19th, police found another deceased woman downtown, Doris Lydia Trout. They are asking for help locating two women they say are persons of interest. Northern Grand Chief Garrison Settee says he is worried for Indigenous women. He said in a release, "The homicide of a second young Indigenous woman in a week is a tremendous loss and concern for our community. I am extremely worried we are witnessing an increase in deadly violence impacting First Nations women in the city of Winnipeg." Delarond believes more action is needed from government.
And unfortunately, despite the national inquiry, despite the finding of genocide, and despite the involvement of community in developing a national action plan, particularly the involvement of people from Manitoba in developing the urban implementation plan, there has been no action. Putting a dime here and a dollar there is not going to change the circumstance. They have to commit to ending genocide.
Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
The stories are similar across Canada about systemic racism when seeing a doctor or going to a hospital. A new report from the Ottawa region says that Indigenous people regularly experience racism when dealing with the healthcare system there. APTN's Fraser Needham explains.
People try to hide their Indigenous identity to receive care. If they can pretend to be something other than they are, maybe, just maybe, the nurse, the doctor, the specialist will treat them kindly, treat them equitably.
That's Wabano Center's Allison Fisher talking about a new report called Share Your Story. And the findings are alarming. 78% of those surveyed reported experiencing anti-Indigenous racism in the healthcare system. 78% said they believed they would have received better service if they were non-Indigenous. 69% indicated reduced use of the system due to experienced racism. Fisher says, sadly, none of the results are surprising.
We've heard hundreds and hundreds of these stories through the years, and it was finally a culmination of just sort of people's weariness with the fact that the stories didn't change. The problems were still there year after year after year.
The report interviewed more than 200 Indigenous people in 2018 and 2019. One of them is Ottawa Aboriginal Coalition co-chair Mickey Adams. Starting in 2018, she went to hospital numerous times with a serious chest infection, but was continuously sent home because staff assumed she was intoxicated.
And so on 5 separate instances, I thought I was going to die and I was going to have a heart attack. On the 4th and 5th instance, my husband pretty much had to drag me to the hospital because I didn't want to be stereotyped or put down or ignored while I was at the hospital in pain.
Adams says she fully understands why many Indigenous people avoid seeking medical treatment, even when they desperately need it.
It's very frustrating, aggravating, and upsetting, because I know I needed the help, but I didn't want to go to the hospital to get the help.
The report makes a total of 27 recommendations on how healthcare providers can tackle racism within the system. But Fisher says the most important step is for those running the system to acknowledge racism exists.
I think one of the most fundamental things that we're trying to tell the institutions here is they have to take ownership. They've never taken ownership of the issue. So that's the fundamental beginning of this roadmap that we've laid out for them in this document, is to take ownership and commit to equity, to health equity.
Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
An Ontario judge has determined Freedom Convoy organizer Tamara Lich did not break her bail conditions and will not be returning to jail. A judge rejected the argument from the Crown that Lich broke her bail conditions when she accepted a Freedom Award for her leadership of the Ottawa protests. One of Lich's conditions is to not support anything related to the Freedom Convoy. The judge upheld the condition that she's not allowed to use social media. Lich is facing several charges in connection with the trucker protests that paralyzed Ottawa during the start of 2022. We need to take a short break, but still ahead, the latest in the murder trial against 2 Alberta farmers accused of killing 2 Métis hunters. Stay with us. It's been a year since the discovery of 215 suspected graves near a former Indian residential school in Kamloops, British Columbia. The graves are believed to be for children who attended the school. The community recently gathered to honor them on that anniversary, and Tina House was there.
At a sunrise ceremony at the former Kamloops Indian residential school, the day began with a 5 a.m. sunrise ceremony to honor the 215 children that were found in hidden graves. It's a day for those to gather and support each other, meanwhile calling for justice for those young ones that just never made it home. And for those that did make it home, their scars are not far from the surface.
Yeah, there was a lot of sexual abuse. I don't want to talk about it. It's a sad part of our life.
And here inside the Powwow Arbor, drummers and singers honor the residential school survivors and community leaders who have dedicated so much in the past year to educating the world about what happened here and at other residential schools across Canada. Cookbee Roseanne Casimir says there are important next steps that are underway. That includes collecting DNA from all the families so that they can compare that to the children found in the graves. It's their goal, she says, to reunite them with their loved ones.
We also have a legal team and a task force. They're also developing an action plan. And this action plan outlines all those meaningful steps that we need to heal, as well as get justice for whatever and may be seen as a crime.
No child deserves to be treated or disrespected, to be dismissed, abused, made to feel less than human. And no child deserves to have their friends disappear, never to be seen again, always wondering, am I next?
Since the horrific discovery 1 year ago that sent shockwaves around the world, thousands have come forward to pay their respects to the many victims of residential schools. Hundreds of survivors have bravely stepped forward to tell their truth about what happened.
Nowhere else in the country is there schools with a burial ground. Why are they here? They should be at home. And I really feel that Canada and the church have an obligation to us to make it right.
And in a move to reconcile the past, an Indigenous delegation recently traveled to Rome to meet with Pope Francis, which culminated in an apology and a promise for him to come to Canada. However, that tour will not include to Kamloops to Swepum. Grand Chief Stuart Phillips says it's a major misstep if he doesn't come here.
It's disgraceful that the Pope has refused to come and visit here at the epicenter of the discovery of the unmarked graves.
And for 86-year-old Grand Chief Joe Manuel Sr., who attended the former Kamloops Indian Residential School, he's angry more hasn't been done.
The law's got to be changed. those people that were responsible for 215 young people here, they got to be taken to the Supreme Court of Canada to justify what has happened.
The time for we didn't know is over.
Since the discovery here at Kamloops to Sequepum, more unmarked graves are being discovered at former residential schools right across Canada, with more exploration work continuing. Tina House, APTN National News, to Kamloops to Sequepum.
The National Indian Residential School Crisis Line is available for survivors and others who might need support. You can call them at 1-866-925-4419. Well, we want to hear what you think about that story or any story that we bring you or should be bringing you. Here's how you can continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. You can leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see all of our latest stories. The trial in Edmonton of two men accused of killing Métis hunters Jacob Sansom and Maurice Cardinal is well into its second week. Here's John Murray with a recap of what's happened so far in court.
Jacob Sansom and Maurice Cardinal had spent the day hunting on March 27, 2020. They bagged a moose, and by late afternoon, they had finished butchering it. That evening, around 9 p.m., they were shot and killed at an intersection just north of Glendon, Alberta, 220 kilometers northeast of Edmonton. A passerby found them early the next morning. Two Glendon area farmers, Roger Bilodeau and his son Anthony, have been charged with second-degree murder. They have both pled not guilty. On Monday, the accused lawyers said the Bilodeaus acted in self-defense. The jury was shown security video of the shooting taken from a Canadian Natural Resources Limited building by the scene. The video shows Sansom being shot 26 seconds after a third vehicle arrived. Moments later, Cardinal is shot 3 times. Crown Prosecutor Jordan Kerr said that Roger and Joseph Bilodeau chased a vehicle from the entrance of their farm, at times reaching speeds over 150 kilometers an hour. Court was told that during the chase, the senior Bilodeau called his other son, Anthony, and told him to bring a gun. Defense counsel called Jacob Sansom's wife, Sarah, to the stand. She was asked about her husband's level of intoxication. According to an autopsy, Jacob Sansom had 3 times the legal limit of alcohol in his system. On Thursday, the court heard a recording of Roger Bilodeau's first interview with the RCMP. It was recorded at his farm on April 1st, 2020. He says he is innocent. 3 hours later, he goes to the RCMP detachment in Bonneville for a second interview. This time, he appears to confess. Joseph Bilodeau testified that he was with his dad the evening of the shooting for safety reasons. The trial is expected to go until the end of this week. John Murray, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Thanks, John. To Nova Scotia now, where an elementary school is doing what it can to save an Indigenous language by teaching Mi'kmaq. And as Angel Moore reports, it's bringing Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities together.
That's Noreen Sillyboy, teaching a grade 7 class the Mi'kmaq language to Indigenous and non-Indigenous students. She loves sharing her language.
I absolutely love it. I love seeing children pick up a word and say it, even pronouncing a word correctly.
Sillyboy was about the same age as her students when her family moved to a Mi'kmaq community with few speakers left.
I was shocked. I didn't even know I was in a Mi'kmaq community, actually. I thought I was just in a regular town.
Inspired to keep her language alive, Sillyboy became a teacher, teaching Mi'kmaq to grades 4 to 8 for the last 8 years. The Truro Middle School is about 1 hour northeast of Halifax and located beside the Millbrook First Nation. Principal Tammy Fox wants the Mi'kmaq to feel welcome in her school.
We are learning so much from one another and are able to see all of the issues and our life experiences through different lenses, and that only enriches our experiences as educators and as students at this school.
Students from the Millbrook First Nation know the importance of their language.
The language is very rare among other countries, so it's nice to spread it more so people will know it's there.
It's good to learn it because not a lot of Native students from other places don't really know that much Mi'kmaq.
In my community, the language is dying, so it's important that the younger people learn the language.
Student Brandon Fairchild-Gills is non-Indigenous. He is taking the class to learn.
It's good because the language is dying and it's just nice to learn it.
Silly Boy, a recipient of the Nova Scotia Education Week Cultural Responsive Educator, hopes Mi'kmaq language classes will be offered in all schools.
And it brings back a sense of pride to our community, not only our children, but also the greater community, our elders, their parents. It's uplifting.
More schools may incorporate Mi'kmaq classes in the future, as Nova Scotia introduced a bill in April to designate Mi'kmaq the province's first language. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Truro, Nova Scotia.
Love that. Well, we need to take one more break, but when we come back, we're going to catch up with two Indigenous designers who hit the runway for Paris Fashion Week. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. Our viewer Dave Menzies can confirm that spring has arrived in Steinbach, Manitoba. Those tulips and daffodils are certainly a sight for winter-weary eyes that are here in Manitoba. Thanks for that, Dave, for sharing that color. You can email your photos to share at aptn.ca to be a chance to be our next photo of the day. Let's take a look now at tomorrow's weather forecast. To the east coast, we got sunshine in St. John's and 11 degrees, 20 and sunny for Charlottetown. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 10 and cloud. Kuujjuaq, some flurries and 5 degrees. Chibougamau, rain and 12 degrees for you, 24 and a chance of showers for Montreal. Ottawa, cloud and 23 degrees. Sault Ste. Marie, 15, cloudy skies there. 19 and sunshine for Sioux Lookout. Kapuskasing, rain and 14. Puckatawagan, showers and 6 degrees expected. God's Lake, 18 and rain. 23 and showers for Winnipeg. 24 and sunshine for Brandon and Gimli. 24 for you in Swift Current, sunny skies there, same with you in Saskatoon. 20 and showers for Meadow Lake, 14 and sunshine for Stony Rapids. Peace River, cloud and 20 degrees, sunshine for Grand Prairie, 19 expected there. 20 and sunny for Edmonton, 26 and sunshine for Medicine Hat. 22 with a mix of sun and cloud for Kamloops, 19 with a mix of sun and cloud expected for Canal. 14 and showers for Smithers, 18 and cloud for Fort Nelson. 17 and showers for Dawson City, Mayo, and Whitehorse. You get rain there too. 15 and sunshine for Yellowknife, Watis, sunny and 16. Sax Harbor, 2 and sunshine, Tuktoyaktuk, 4 and showers. 0 with a mix of sun and cloud for Chesterfield, New Yacht, some flurries, -2 expected. Pangnirtung, -5 and snow, sunshine and -6 for Iqaluit. A young First Nations hockey player from the Yukon is celebrating a major accomplishment as the first overall pick for the Western Hockey League. 14-year-old Gavin McKenna is Trondet Gutchin from Whitehorse. He's the first Yukoner to be drafted first overall for the WHL. This past season, he scored 65 points in 35 games as a member of the Rink Hockey Academy in Kelowna for their under-18 team. McKenna was the top pick of the Medicine Hat Tigers.
My family was obviously very proud of me, as well as my teammates and coaches. And yeah, pretty much everybody was just really proud of me, very excited for me.
The May long weekend is a time where many in Nunavut hold fishing derbies, but there's still enough snow on the ground and to get around on snowmobiles, but it's warm enough for the whole family to actually enjoy it. Rankin Inlet held a lake trout derby over the weekend, and the big fish brought out the big prizes. Paul Pissack netted $8,000 for this third place trout, which is 114 centimeters long. This second-place trout weighed in at 116 centimeters and was snagged by Karine Pilakapsi. That was for $9,000. And this monster was caught by winner Pelagi Kritaklilak. That's a lake trout that you're seeing there, and it measured 120 centimeters long. Her prize is this 2022 Honda Rubicon 520 four-wheeler and bragging rights, at least until Rankin Inlet hosts their annual cod derby this fall. In Focus wrapped up its 2021-22 season today, looking back on popular stories that we brought you and updating what's happened with them since, including catching up with two Indigenous designers who got to show at Paris Fashion Week this past spring. And we got an update from the woman who found fame in Indian country making Indigenous clothing for Barbie. Here's what some of them had to say. What's been, since you come home, you've now been featured at Paris Fashion Week. Was there sort of a deluge that came after that of people wanting your stuff or wanting to collaborate?
Yeah, we definitely sold out of a lot of stuff for quite some time. And yeah, I've gotten a lot of opportunities to collab with some really cool artists. That's been very exciting, and a lot of opportunities with different local companies that I've really wanted to work with, like Manitoba Mucklucks contacted me, and I get to do some beading classes for them, which is my favorite thing to do. I love to teach the art form to people. And just stuff like that. Like, it's just been really cool to see the fun opportunities that came afterwards.
What about for you, Sheila? What happened kind of in the post-Paris Fashion Week wake for you?
It's been insane. I mean, I actually just finished a photo shoot for a billboard at New York Times Square that I was offered. And then I also am invited to Torino, Italy. So that's a huge endeavor that I'm looking forward to. And of course, New York Fashion Week, London Fashion Week. So it's just kind of like exciting.
You've already done New York and London, or those are on the horizon?
Those are on the rise yet. Like, this will be a first for each one, and I'm really excited.
It's taken off. It's very well. It's very steady, the dolls I've been selling. It's quite interesting how the demographic has changed a bit. I sell a lot of the dolls now to support groups, to Catholic social services, to sexual assault centers, to counselors that do any kind of play therapy, anything or anywhere that these young Indigenous children are going. When they arrive, the counselors like to give them a toy, something that they can grab onto and feel safe with this toy. So that part of it is really amazing to me. It just makes me so happy.
Well, that is a wrap on your national news for tonight. I'm Melissa Ridgen. We're glad that you could be here. Have a great night.